Question: how do you deal with the increasing amount of frameworks? This usually comes up when you are doing an interview or preparing for one, and you've got all the basics patted down until you get questions on specific frameworks that you might or might not be familiar with. This happens to everyone, and no matter how old you are, as a programmer, you're constantly expected to be learning new things, new concepts, new frameworks, new anything under the sun. So being a programmer is probably the only job where you're expected to maintain it as some sort of hobby outside of work. So to me, I will look at the new stuff and split it into two simple categories. So one is something that I've used before, and the other is something I've never used before. So for the former, I would try to identify the differences in concepts. So say, for example, someone comes to me and say, hey, have you looked at this new Node.js server framework before? Okay, so I will take a look at it, identify everything I know about it, and then mentally list the new features that I have not seen before. Then I go and try out specifically only the new features. That's usually good enough to get an understanding and hold an intelligent discussion about a new thing. On the other hand, there'll be stuff like AI ML ops, or artificial intelligence / machine learning operations, which I have never used before. Here, instead of trying to highlight the differences, I try to highlight the similarities between this and my experiences. Like AI having more similarities with hardware in that they have a non-marginal failure rate that has to be accounted for, and the creation process is usually is more akin to artists in games development than usual software development. This helps you to get a creative view of the new stuff and making your unfamiliarity a positive instead of a negative. This is partly why companies like banks start taking in engineers for front-end banking work instead. Having a set of fresh eyes and a new mindset really helps. Yeah.